Kevin Willard ruined Maryland basketball.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys for making us part of your day. And I'm also doing work at InsideBlackandGold.net. So make sure you guys head over to InsideBlackandGold.net for all your latest Terps news. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bet when your first $5 bet wins. Kevin Willard absolutely, I think, just ruined Maryland basketball. So we all know the news by now, and I've been waiting a little bit to make this podcast. This news came out yesterday that Kevin Willard would be leaving Maryland basketball to take the Villanova job. I just want to say this. There's so many different ways to attack this. There's so many different components to this type of thing. But to start, I want to say Kevin Willard handled that situation so poorly. The way he went about it, the way he did it during Maryland basketball season, it was disrespectful to Maryland's players. It was disrespectful to the entire Maryland staff. It was disrespectful to the Maryland fan base. The way how he's clearly actively knowing about the Villanova job, being about the Villanova job, doing research about the Villanova job, talking to people about the Villanova job during the Terps Sweet 16 run, during the Terps March Madness run, during the Terps best team yet in a long time. That was clearly not the way to handle it for Kevin Willard. And it really sucks because the program, obviously, I thought was in a really good spot. But the way he handled that coaching change was really bad. You can't go around in the media talking about how you don't know what you're going to do yet. I haven't talked to my agent yet. I don't know about this yet. I don't know what the situation is yet. When honestly, he knew the whole time what he was going to do. I promise you, he knew the entire time. And that's part of what coaches do. They're not going to tell you the whole truth. They're going to kind of sugarcoat everything. You're going to have to read through stuff. But Kevin Willard knew the whole time he was taking that Villanova job. And I don't blame him for taking the job. And I think a lot of people can kind of reason with him taking the Villanova job. It's a good job. It's one of the better jobs in college basketball, to be completely honest. It's been a really good job for a while. And I don't blame him for taking the Villanova job, but the way he handled it was just so poor. But we could have seen that coming in the way he handled leaving Seton Hall and how he went about that to take the Maryland job. He handled that pretty poorly as well. And he leaves Maryland in a really weird spot right now as a team where it's like we just came off our best season in a really long time. But now it's like, are we at square zero again? Has everything started over again? And there's a lot of news to get into. I'm going to talk about the transfer portal in the next segment and how that's already flux with new Maryland players and how a lot of that has to definitely do with Kevin Willard, but things just are not tight right now. Things are just not in the best spot for Maryland basketball. And I completely blame Kevin Willard, and it's really on him. And he might have ruined it for a little bit. He might have ruined Maryland basketball's momentum. He might have ruined what he built at Maryland basketball to take a job at Villanova that, yeah, it's a good job. It's one of the better jobs in college basketball, but so is Maryland. I don't see this move as a huge step up move. Like, it's not going from Seton Hall. Like, going from Seton Hall to Maryland was clearly a huge step up. Going from Maryland to the current landscape of Villanova and where that's at right now, I can't say that's like a humongous step up for Kevin Willard, or that's something that's really awesome for Kevin Willard, or that's something that's really a big step up. Like, maybe a small step up, maybe a little bit better of a job just because of its tradition and what Villanova basketball has been, but a lot of that has to do with Coach Wright. And Villanova basketball has gone backwards in the last couple of years, where this Maryland team has gone forward. And I know a lot of that has to do with Kevin Willard taking this job. He's talked about the NIL and things like that, and he couldn't clearly agree with Damon Evans on stuff, who was the old Terps AD, but he's gone now. And it seemed like Kevin Willard had kind of beat him out. Like, he beat out Damon, and Damon was going to go to SMU, while Kevin Willard is going to be able to stay and really help Maryland's athletic find a new AD that really values NIL, and that really sounds like a lot of this is around. And you can talk about the landscape of NIL. It's definitely changing college basketball. It's definitely making a huge difference in college basketball. It's definitely something that is really changing how we look at it. And we seem to think it was just the players and how the players looked at where they want to go to school and if they want to do this, if they want to do that. No, it's not just the players, it's the coaches too. If the team's not giving them enough NIL, if the team isn't getting enough budget, guys are going to leave. Guys are going to go. Guys are going to go different places. And that's exactly what Kevin Willard did. He said Maryland's not doing enough resources in the NIL department. He also said, I don't know who my boss is and all these different things. Like he let us enough to know that he was going to take that Villanova job. And again, I can't blame him for taking a Villanova job. It's a really good job. It's one of the better jobs in college basketball. And you, as a coach, as a person, you can do what you want. And if he would have done it and we would have heard anything about it, and the media wouldn't have heard anything about it until today, then I would have been like, fine. It sucks for Maryland basketball. It sucks for our program, but it's definitely not where we want to be, but it's definitely fair. If he wants to be able to do that, of course, you can do what he wants to do. Just the way he went about it, I thought it wasn't fair. And then on a deeper level, kind of talking more about Maryland basketball, and more importantly, like some of this stuff is going to go away. Like people are going to stop talking about this eventually. But the state of where Maryland basketball is, to me, is more important to just Kevin Willard, and is bigger than just Kevin Willard. And to me, the state of Maryland basketball really gets hurt from this. It does. I don't know who we're gonna hire next, and that's going to be something we'll talk about in the coming days, and who the search and who's the best fit, and it probably won't even take that long. We want to get somebody quick. We want our best candidate, but you want to get somebody to coach this Maryland team quick because the portal opens, and that's going to be really important for the new coach to be able to have full time to be able to recruit, full time to be able to go after guys, and they might not get that if they come in a little bit later. So you want to get this coach quick. It's the best job that's open right now. But to me, where we were going, what Kevin Willard was building was really good. I liked Kevin Willard as a coach. I thought he did a really good job in his 3 years at Maryland. I thought his first year, he took a Maryland team that I thought was pretty mediocre, a team that didn't have to be a tournament team, led him to the March Madness, got him out of the first round as well, to a Terps team that I didn't think was like anything amazing. Like I didn't think it was close to the team that we had this year. I thought it was a decent basketball team, but I thought it was just okay. I didn't think it had to be a March team, and he got us to March in his first year. The second year, bad year for Kevin Willard, but I was willing to give him that. I thought the roster wasn't great. I thought a lot of guys got overrated, and I think were overhyped and kind of just didn't play as well as we thought they were going to play, and weren't the guys that we thought. And then he went in his third year, had an awesome recruit with Derek Queen, obviously the 5-star, wins Big Ten Freshman of the Year, was really awesome the entire year, made a huge splash in the transfer portal with Rodney Rice and Gillespie and Selton Miguel, and really made this starting 5 special. We got a nickname. We made March Madness as a 4 seed. Like I thought we were going in the right direction. We were able to barely get to the Sweet 16, but in March Madness, if you get there, you get there. And I thought we were doing a lot of good things over the last 3 years. And it's like, I was ready to take another step. I was like, next year's team might not be as good as this year's team, but if Kevin Willard does what he does in the portal again, he puts us back in the tournament. Maryland basketball is meant. We're in the perfect spot. We're a tournament team consistently. We're doing a lot of things well. We have a basis of how we go about things, and we're going to be able to have a lot of things going on in the future. And I think Kevin Willard's going to be one of the better coaches in the Big Ten, but then he leaves. And now you're looking at Maryland basketball and you're like, you got to start, you really, to me, it kind of starts over a bit. And college basketball is different from college football. College football, it's tough. It's a little bit harder to really rebuild it. College basketball, even if you get to start over with a new coach, if the new coach is good enough, if the new coach comes from enough of a pedigree and has done enough in the college basketball world, he can get stuff done quickly. You can get into the tournament quickly. You do different things quickly. But you still got to start over. You got to start over with recruiting. You might not have Christian Jefferson. We're gonna talk about the guys that have already entered the portal this year that we can't maintain, that we might have would have maintained if Kevin Willard was the coach next year. And there's some big names in there. One in particular that just entered as soon as I recorded. So I'm kind of glad at the time I recorded this. And so to me, it really hurts Maryland basketball. I don't know exactly what happens next, and that's going to be something we continue to talk about. But this move, I know Maryland fans might be mad at Kevin Willard, but what he was doing at Maryland basketball seemed pretty good to me. And the fact that he's going off to Villanova, I think it clearly hurts the Terps. And I think that's why a lot of us are upset, because we know that we could have maybe had a better chance at beating Florida if he wasn't worried about the Villanova job. We would have a better chance at being, I'll tell you for free, we'd have a better chance at being elite next year and being another top 25 team next year with Kevin Willard. Doesn't mean we can't do it without Kevin Willard, but it'll be more challenging with a new coach, bring in probably almost a completely new roster. And that's just what today's college basketball is about and what happens in today's college basketball. So I think this move is, Kevin Willard wanted to do it. It's whatever for him. I'm not really worried about his side of things. I'm talking about from the Maryland perspective. It hurts. It hurts where Maryland basketball is currently at. It hurts, and it's going to continue to hurt. We'll see who we hire. You can make up for it with a really great hire, but we're going to see how Maryland goes about it, who they hire. But clearly, there was something going on that entire time, and Kevin Willard knew he was going to take that Villanova job as soon as it was offered to him. And I guess Villanova offered it to him during March Madness. I don't have a problem with Villanova being sneaky about it. That's what teams are supposed to do. If Maryland did the same thing and wanted their guy, I wouldn't be mad if Maryland did that. But I hope we see that Villanova team in the upcoming years, and I hope the Terps get that at home and are able to win that overall. Guys are already in the portal. We're going to continue to talk about Kevin Willard in that situation. We'll talk about that next. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the net. Picking favorites, I got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy for you to back them on spreads, totals, and game procs. With the tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, you get paid instantly, no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. So this is the thing, and a lot of this news has came out, and this is the hardest part that I talk about. I said in the first segment, it really hurts Maryland basketball that Kevin Willard is leaving, and you're seeing it pretty quickly. The transfer portal has opened, and Maryland basketball guys have gotten in it. And three names in particular that I saw, and one huge one that I just saw that was in the Crab 5. That's one of our top players, arguably was going to be our best player coming back. I thought I had a chance to be maybe a first-team Big Ten, player next year. But Jacoby Gillespie's in the portal, and apparently he already knows where he's going, I guess. Apparently, it sounds like he's going to Tennessee. I saw really quickly before I read. I wanted to hop on and get this out. But he's going to the portal, and I think this is the effects of it. If Kevin Willard doesn't leave, you can't tell me Jacoby Gillespie is in the portal. You can't. And so it sounds like he's going to Tennessee, which makes sense. He played high school basketball in Tennessee. Tennessee was a big part of his recruitment before. We thought there was a good chance of him going to Tennessee originally, but we found out just like a couple minutes ago when I'm recording this that Gillespie is entering the portal. These are the effects that happen. Your third team All Big Ten point guard that was supposed to be a big part of this Maryland basketball team coming back. This is why I thought we were going to be in a really good position in the future. In my head, I thought, we're bringing back Gillespie. We'll bring back Rodney Rice. Yeah, we have to fix our big man. We have to replace that. But Kevin Willard showed last season he can do that. But now it's like, I don't know who you're bringing back. We're losing Jacoby Gillespie in the portal, and he was probably our second best player last year in terms of the entire year. He brought a lot of balance to the team. He averaged 14.7 points as well as almost 5 assists per game, shot 40% from the three-point arc, 86% from the free throw line, 45% from the field, was our point guard the entire year, started every game, was really good, was a huge portal pickup for us, really exceeded expectations coming from Belmont, did a lot of things at a really high level at the University of Maryland, and now he's gone. He's off to Tennessee. He's off to play basketball for Coach Barnes over there. Really good program. I don't blame Gillespie. I don't blame any of the players for this. This is on Kevin Willard. It's on Kevin Willard. The fact that he put in a bunch of stock on these guys. Probably a lot of those guys the players had heard he was going to be around. That's what Rodney Rice had said, is that Willard has been transparent with us. He's been honest with us on the situation. And I kind of took that as it sounds like he's told the players he'll be around. But the fact that Gillespie is in the portal and is leaving, it kills Maryland basketball. It really hurts to lose your leading point guard, to lose your point guard that was a third-team All-Big Ten. I thought had a chance to make a jump to be a first-team All-Big Ten type of player. It really hurts. Like, there's no in-between. There's no buts about it. And the new coach can try and come in and plug as many holes as you want, but you don't want to have 5 holes in your lineup. You don't. And you're already losing Julian Racing. You're already losing Derek Queen. And we thought we'd get Gillespie back. And I said, okay, Kevin Willard can work with this. He can get new bigs. But now your new coach is going to have to address another hole. And the more holes you have to fill, the harder it is. That's just the way it is. And the harder it is to fill them and fill them at a high level. And now the new coach is going to have to come in and address a lot of holes in this roster. And that's not going to be easy to do. That's not going to be easy for anybody. So losing Gillespie really hurts, and it sucks. He was really awesome to watch last year. He was one of my favorite players on the team, and he was a guy that as a Maryland fan, and I think a lot of you guys would agree with, you felt like pretty good about Gillespie. You felt pretty close to him. You felt pretty connected to him as a player, him coming from Belmont, making the jump to Maryland. Like, you felt pretty good about what Gillespie was able to do for the Maryland basketball program, and now he's gone. And it just is what today's college basketball is. As soon as your coach leaves, the guys are quick to bolt. Guys are quick to leave, and that's just the way it is. And I think Tennessee makes sense for Gillespie. I think they lose their guard, Ziegler, who's been there forever, who's been one of the better guys in the country, who's been really good defensively. I think Gillespie fits in at Tennessee. The Tennessee kid went to high school in Tennessee. I think that makes a lot of sense for a kid like Gillespie to decide to go over there to Tennessee. I do think that makes sense. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt the Terps a lot. Doesn't mean it doesn't put a lot of pressure on the Terps in the portal. And I want to make this clear. I don't blame Gillespie. This isn't on him. When there's a new coach, when it seems like things are going to change, you got to do what you got to do. Now, my next question is, the only returning starter right now in Maryland basketball that hasn't entered the portal yet, I thought also had a chance to make a jump into all Big Ten type of player who had a really good end of the year, put together some really big performances for us down the year, was good all year for us, was really the surprise of the season. And I kind of said it when it going, and I thought he was going to be really good, is Rodney Rice. I have no idea what Rodney Rice is going to do. Some people thought Gillespie and Rice might follow Kevin Willard to Villanova, but clearly it sounds like Gillespie is going to Tennessee. Rodney Rice is an interesting one. I promise you, Kevin Willard's going to try and get him to Villanova, and I don't know what's going to happen. Rodney Rice is a DMV kid. He grew up in DMV. He went to Bullis. He went to DeMatha. Like, those are 2 schools right in the area, and he's been here his whole life. So I think it's going to be tough for Rodney Rice to leave, but I hope this is why you want to get a new coach in quick, because if you get a coach in quick, then Gillespie and Rodney Rice, they have to come to you. As a new coach, you get to go to them and say, stay. This is what I'm going to do with the program. You guys are going to be the front of it. You guys are going to be the star of it. I'm going to be able to get you guys to maximize your potential. I'm going to allow you guys to do what you do. You guys should absolutely stay with this program. But now we're looking at it and we're saying, I don't know. With the new coach, we don't know. Gillespie's looking at, I don't know who the new coach is going to be. I don't want to wait around. Tennessee's offering me probably like $800,000 to enter the portal. I'm going to do it. I'm going to leave, and that's just business these days. And so I can see it. But Rodney Rice is, to me, the next question mark that I really don't know and what's going to happen with Rice. I think it could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if he follows Willard to Villanova. That would make some sense for him. the guys liked Willard, and that's another thing that sucks. It seems like the players liked Willard. You saw Derek Queen on Twitter post. He had the crying emoji over Willard leaving Maryland. And we know it's not as big of an effect for Derek Queen. We know he's off to the NBA, but still the players like him, and that's why it kind of sucks to lose him. And the fans don't like him right now, but the players liked him during his time, it seems like. And so when you have a coach that players like, it's tough. It's tough definitely to lose. So losing Gillespie definitely hurt, but Gillespie isn't the only guy that's leaving. There's other guys in the portal as well, and we'll talk about that next. So 2 Maryland players that were in the rotation for the entire year are also in the portal as well. And I'll start with Tapari in the portal. This one didn't surprise me. I thought this could be something that happened whether or not Willard left. I thought Tapari was a guy that it kind of made sense for him probably to enter the portal. I thought if he stayed, he might have the chance to potentially how Maryland recruits and stuff. I thought he would have the chance to start, but I didn't think like Kevin Willard was going to go into the year saying, Gapari, you're going to have a starting spot. Like it wasn't like clearly next in line, like he's clearly going to start. But I thought you lose Jordan Geronimo, you lose your 2 starting bigs, Reese and Queen. I mean, Gapari might be one of the guys to start at the 4 spot. Yeah, I think he's talented and everything. But at this point, I guess that doesn't matter a whole lot anymore. Had an up and down season for sure. There was a point where I was like, he's the key off the bench. He's our guy off the bench. He's the guy that we need to play at a high level off the bench. He had a couple performances where it made me say that, where we thought he was going to be a real problem off the bench. He had 12 points against Ohio State in a huge win. We blew them out. He also had 19 against a Bucknell team that's not very good, but did a lot of things well. In that game, made 3 of 4 3-pointers. And those are the times where I was like, oh, this Gapari kid's pretty good as well. We have Queen, we have Reese, but this Gapari kid offers us a little something different, a little bit less size, but a little bit more bounce, a little more athleticism, a little bit more range in his 3-point shot, a little bit more versatility defensively, a little bit more shot blocking, just a little bit of a different player that I thought Maryland basketball could use for the next couple of years. But now he's gone to the portal, and I don't know if he was going to enter whether Kevin Willard or not. And so I don't want to be like, this is on Kevin Willard. Like Gillespie, I was like, Gillespie, I'm pretty sure would have sticked around if Kevin Willard hadn't left College Park. But for guys like I said, like Gapari, I just don't know, because he was a guy that, like I said, in those couple of games played really high level. The start of the year, I thought he was a really good spot for us. He had a lot of just decent games off the bench, and then he ended up really not playing a ton towards the end of the year, because it's hard to rotate through 4 bigs when Maryland has guys like Reese and Queen that are so talented. Like a team like Michigan State, they got like 4 or 5 bigs that are pretty similar in terms of talent, in terms of how they produce, in terms of what they do. It seems like Maryland, when you have 2 guys, when you have the Big Ten freshman of the year, Derek Queen, and you have a guy in Julian Reese that's been really good and was an honorable All Big Ten, it's tough to get those guys out the game and make it a 4-man rotation. And so when Jordan Geronimo got back and started to get back in the rotation again, and Gapari kind of got left out because he got sick for a little bit, and then all of a sudden Geronimo was giving us good minutes, it was kind of tough for Gapari, and he didn't play a lot. There's games he barely played. There's games he didn't play in the tournament. And so to me, that was tough for the Terps. But I do understand. I do kind of understand where Gapari is at and why he kind of enters. I wish he maybe could have seen the vision. But now with the new coach, he's probably like, I don't know. I'm not going to risk it. I didn't play last year. I'm ready to go to a different school. And he's been a lot of different places, so he's used to this process. But I hope he ends up being in a good place, because he did provide a lot of minutes. I think he could be a starter somewhere, maybe not quite at like the highest level of college basketball, but like just below that. Like he can be a power 5 starter for in college basketball. He really can. And then Jalen Young also entered the portal. Another one that definitely hurts the Terps. I'll be completely honest. It hurts the Terps a little bit, because I thought he was a guy that didn't do anything crazy, but I thought Jay Young was just, I thought he was solid just for the Terps. I thought he did a lot of pretty good things well. I thought he'd be a bigger part of our bench throughout the season, because he could shoot the ball and he did some things well, but he ended up kind of not doing too much. It definitely doesn't kill us. He's a guy that I thought would enter the portal. I also didn't know he was going to get a 7th year of eligibility. I thought, to be honest, I don't know about you guys. I thought he was done after this year. So he's got another year of eligibility. I don't know exactly how, but he does. He's not a guy I thought he was going to be gone. So in my head, I thought he was going to be gone. but he's a guy that is interesting, but I think it definitely could hurt the Terps a little bit. So we'll see. There's definitely more guys we're going to keep an eye out on. Roddy Rice, like I said, Deshaun Harris-Smith, Jeffrey, who's our only commit in the 2025 class. Keep going by classes. I'm like forgetting what class we're on. And as well as Malachi Palmer's another guy I'll be interested in seeing kind of what he decides to do. So we'll see exactly. But things are not looking great for Maryland basketball, I'll be completely honest. Thanks for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps.